again. Hello, and welcome back to the Spoiler Cast, the show where we talk about newer movies and we don't care about spoiling them at all, because it's the Spoiler Cast, so spoilers beware. With me, as always, is my co-host and sister, Rebecca.
Hello.
And once again, we're picking a movie that you wanted to talk about, or at least wanted to watch.
Suggested.
You suggested, yeah. And the movie we're talking about, if you didn't see the thumbnail, is The Devil All the Time, the new Southern Gothic crime epic from Netflix. Well, okay, they distributed it. It's from what's his name? Olivier Campos? Something
Antonio
like that.
Campos.
Antonio Campos, sorry.
But Paulo Campos was also a writer.
Writer, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's based on a book by someone else. Actually, the voiceover, the narrator is actually the author of the book, which is kind of cool because he had a cool voice.
Yeah, but I thought I recognized the voice. I thought it was an actor.
Nope. And the voiceover being cool is about one of the few positive things I'm going to say about this movie. But first of all, I have
Donald Ray Pollock.
Donald Ray Pollock. Right. I have a sneaking suspicion why you chose this movie, but
Try me.
No, I want you to. Well, just go. Why did you message me and say, should we watch this for the spoiler cast?
I watched the trailer and it looked interesting.
Okay.
There's a bunch of known actors, some of them cool actors, not all of them. And I mean, the title sounds awesome.
Yeah, the title is awesome.
Be super exciting. It sounds like it's gonna be like Satanism and biblical Christianity, whatever, against each other or something. But
well, it is very. I don't know if you're familiar with the term Southern Gothic.
Very little.
Yeah. Like
I've
other.
heard it. I'm not sure I know
like
exactly.
Other movies or TV shows that kind of are Southern Gothic are, I would call the first season of True Detective Southern Gothic. It's this sort of almost religion always plays a big part of it. It's this almost not supernatural, but this mythic, these mythic almost stories that takes place in the South, and uses the like the scenery of the decrepit deep South of America as a sort of backdrop. That's what Southern Gothic is, more or less. I'm no expert, but that's kind of what it is, and I think that this fits very well into that category. I can't hear you.
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
so.
okay. But your mouth.
The thing is, when I do or it doesn't pick it up always.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Catches that as background noise.
So weird. Anyway, right. Yeah, because a lot of people were super hyped about this when they first announced it, and it was one of those things that a lot of like these weirdly obsessive Twitter accounts and Facebook pages, they're like fan accounts for like Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson and what's his name, Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
And mostly for the male actors, but I guess I saw some for like Riley Keough and Mia Wasikowska. They were just like, oh my god, it's gonna be the best movie ever, because they're. I went on a little like deep dive after watching the movie, like to see why people were so hyped over this. Because spoilers, I'm not a big fan of the movie. Or I mean,
no.
Quickly before I continue my deep dive, it's not bad, but it's certainly not great. It's and way too long. Anyway, so I wanted to see the people who've been hyping this up and posting pictures and gifs and reposting the trailer all the time, and there are these these strangely obsessive fan accounts for these young actors, and sometimes it's like older people who run the account. It's not like a bunch of like 14-year-old girls who are swooning over Tom Holland. No, it's like older people sometimes. Not always, but that's another weird tangent. Like older people being obsessed by these young people. It's anyway. They tweet and post constantly. What's going on with your colors?
Colors are weird. I'm trying to fix them. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And they were hyping the shit out of this movie even before they knew if the movie was good or not, just because of these actors. And I think that's why some of these actors were cast in the movie, because they wanted like popular actors in the movie. And that's not a
Why I found it as well, to be honest.
yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to ask you why you wanted to watch it. And it really feels like they're like trying to appeal to like young, like teenage audiences who love Marvel movies, because you have or superhero movies, sort of, because you have Tom Holland, who's Spider-Man, of course, everyone's favorite Spider-Man. You have
Not yours?
No, I'm one Spidey generation older, so for me it's Tobey Maguire. Always going to be Tobey Maguire.
I mean, I grew up with Tobey Maguire. I still think Tom Holland is better.
Nah. Anyway, that's another discussion. And you have Sebastian Stan, who is of course the Winter Soldier and Bucky Barnes. And he that role, Sheriff Bodecker, was actually supposed to be played by Chris Evans, Captain America, but he had conflicting schedules, so he said, "Hey, my buddy can do it." So, you have, and now you have Robert Pattinson, who has an inbuilt fan base as well with Harry Potter and especially Twilight. But then he's also playing the new Batman next year, so it's these. And then I know Riley Keough is kind of happening right now. I'm not too read up on her fandom, but it's a name that keeps popping up here and there.
Honestly, I didn't recognize her.
Okay. And then, but and those are the ones, I guess. I mean, well, no, we have, of course, sorry, Bill Skarsgård, right? Not Simon Skarsgård.
Bill
Skarsgård, right?
Bill.
There's a Simon Skarsgård, right? The youngest?
He doesn't really act.
No, but he's done it sometimes.
Yeah, he's done
some Swedish stuff,
small.
right? Because I have seen his name. Anyway. You have him, and he has this fan base built up mostly because of the It movies. He plays Pennywise. There are people who like find Pennywise sexy. It's weird.
No.
So, speaking of
they don't
fandoms,
find characters sexy that much, more the actor that they yeah, I think.
yeah. Well, I've seen some weird pictures that people drew of Pennywise.
Oh, okay, I'm not gonna say anything.
But yeah, it's probably because of Bill Skarsgård. But these young hot actors that's happening, bunch of them, and while most of them did a really good job, it felt more. It felt like a happy accident, because it felt more like stunt casting to me. Stunt casting is when you pick the most popular people right now. But it worked because other than the voiceover, I think most of the actors did a great job. I guess you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting was fine. No question about it. Like,
yeah.
My issue was more with the script.
Oh yes, the script and the fucking pacing.
Yeah.
But I forgot one who is kind of a not really like popular, but it's kind of in the same style that they cast him, because he was in other stuff, and he's been featuring in a lot of stuff in the recent years, and he was in another Netflix thing, so I guess he has a contract with Netflix now. I forget his name now. The guy who plays the crazy religious guy who pours spiders on his face. What's his name?
Lord, no, you don't know. Roy Lafferty was
yes,
the character. His
exactly,
name,
Lafferty.
Harry Melling.
Harry Milling. You know what he was in before this?
No.
Look, do you have his page up?
God,
Exactly.
Dursley.
He's Dudley. I
didn't
didn't know that. He looks so different now. Well, I guess because he's older. He's
older
like
and he lost
20
a
years
lot of
older. Yeah. He was in. Did you see the Netflix movie The Old Guard with Charlize Theron?
I saw about 5 minutes, then I gave up.
Ah, okay. Well, he plays the villain in that, I suppose.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and I guess that he probably has sort of a fan base as well. Maybe not as big as Tom Holland, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah, he does have the
Potter
Potter
fans.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did a good job as well. He's a good actor. I want to see him in more stuff. I've only seen him in The Old Guard and this, and I think something else.
He hasn't done that many full-length movies, actually.
No, but he's done a bunch of shorts, and he's been in TV.
Yeah.
And since he graduated from, he went to some acting school, I think, or film school, and just graduated a few years ago. That's why he's been appearing in stuff lately. But anyway, so yeah, the casting felt very deliberate, and while it worked because they're all good actors,
Yeah.
and at least I knew before that all of these were good actors that were just stuck in superhero movies. I mean,
Yeah.
because I saw I saw a YouTuber called Swell Entertainment, or Amanda, but her channel's called Swell Entertainment, who talked about this. And she mentioned that a lot of people were hyping this because of Tom Holland, and a lot of people were disappointed in the movie because they thought it wasn't funny enough. You have Tom Holland in the movie, why not let him be funny and quippy and quirky? Because most people know him as Peter. No, I know, but most people know him as Peter Parker. So that was a whole big thing with this movie. People just watching it blindly because Tom Holland was in it, and then being kind of disappointed because it wasn't Spider-Man. This is
excited to see him act.
And this is my big
more
problem with
seriously.
audiences today. Yeah, and a lot of people said that too. Like, it's nice to see him doing serious stuff, but he's done serious stuff before.
Well, yeah,
not a lot.
lately.
No, not lately. But I mean, he even as a very young actor was really good in the movie The Impossible, when he plays one of the survivors of the tsunami in Thailand in 2004.
Yeah.
He plays one of the sons. He's great in that movie, and he's like 14, 13 or something like that. So he's done serious stuff before.
Well, yeah, but like we said, not since.
Yeah, all the fucking Generation Z or whatever it is, they just know him as Spider-Man. Anyway. So yeah, all the actors were good.
Yeah.
Some of the actors really didn't have much to do in the movie. Like Mia Wasikowska, I really like her. Plays Lenora's wife, mother. What?
She was in like 4 scenes.
Yeah. So why have such a great actress be wasted on a pointless role like that?
No.
I don't know.
Stupid.
Yeah, or at least give her something more to do. But we'll get into why they shouldn't do that either.
Yeah, but worst part was that she even like 2 scenes were technically the same parts of it, at least.
Yeah.
They just showed it again and then added some more.
Yeah.
Couldn't at least like get it from another angle? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And well, we're still on the actors, because we'll talk about the positives first, I think, because there's a lot of the negative stuff to talk about later.
Yeah.
So let's stay on the actors. What was your favorite performance? Because this is a movie with a lot of like big, good performances.
My cat. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Do you hear my cat screaming in the background?
No, your noise gate is very high, so no, we can't hear anything except for you, and sometimes not even you.
Perfect. No, well.
Who was your favorite?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Robert Pattinson is great when he gets to act like that.
It's just, yeah.
But it's a bit too much for me. But at the same time, I think the character was supposed to be a bit much, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's almost deliberately overacting because the character is acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I don't feel like Bill Skarsgård got to do enough. Almost, he just seemed to be in the same mood all the time.
Yeah, sort of. But I enjoyed his. I
But
like.
when he's in that mood, it's still good.
Yeah, and
He can do that well.
I'm a fan of restraint in acting. I mean, I like when
Mhm.
people overact because it's fun, but like when they're doing like, I like stoicism, I like restraint, and
Yeah.
goddamn, was he holding it back in this movie?
Yes.
So I really enjoyed Bill Skarsgård, and I think
I think those two were the ones that stood out
they really
most.
stood out. And then I think Tom Holland did a great job. Kind of a not like not boring character, but he was kind of a eh. And I don't. They didn't explore him.
No, he didn't get enough time to, Jesus Christ, to express what he was feeling. He was just angry. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of
They could
weird.
have added more, like more emotion, more, I don't know, make him sad at points
Yeah,
and more worried when he was worried, not just angry and just stone face.
yeah, exactly.
But I'm not sure that's the acting part. I think that's more of the direction
Oh yes, it's the
and the
direction
script.
and the writing. Yeah. Um, because I think the character that gets the most not development, but has the most layers to it. Or to them is probably Robert Pattinson, and partly because of his acting
Yeah.
as well. Like he's the like the phony preacher comes in and tries to like sort of take advantage of his what is it, parish.
Hmm.
So we see that part, and we see the part where he tries to fool. We see the mask he puts on to be like this nice preacher, and then we see the real him, and then we see the person he is when he thinks no one else is watching, which is a
Yeah.
different part than the real him, which is kind of weird. Um, so in a way, even though he isn't really in the movie that much, feels like the
No,
most complex character. Not like
because
you.
he gets to display more than one or two emotions.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of interesting, but he's not complex. Like, oh, I really like. I'm almost simple. No. He's a fucking asshole. He's a
Oh
disgusting
yeah.
monster. But it's done well enough that you feel that he is complex. He's not just a one-dimensional bad guy. So, and that's
Yeah.
also part of the acting. Like I had the the best moment for me with him was probably like I think it's the first time we see him or the second time we see him when everyone is bringing there's the potluck at church and everyone's bringing food for him or
That's
not
the first
for
time we
everyone.
see him.
It is the first time, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And Grandma, whatever her name is, presents
Emma.
yeah
Emma.
presents the chicken livers, and when he sees that and he tastes it, first it's like, oh my god, he really enjoyed the cooking and appreciated it, even though it's organs instead of a prime rib or a nice steak or
It's
something.
poor man's food.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, is he kind of nice? But then it's going to turn out that he's a bad guy. But then, and I didn't know. I didn't know because he was such a snake about it in that scene. And
Yeah.
then when he kind of, but really didn't mocked her, but you're not really sure why he did it when talking
I'm not
about
sure he was actually mocking her though. Well, he
no,
was.
and
And
it's like
it
in
was like, actually, is he or not?
yeah, but that's like nice because the characters interpret it in different ways. Like she said, "Oh, I was so embarrassed when he pointed out the chicken livers," and then Tom Holland says, "Well, I think he only made fun of it so he could have them all for himself." And
Yeah.
I'm leaning more towards that because when he first tasted the sauce, he was like, "Ooh, he like saw God or something."
Yeah. Well, it inspired him to do a sermon,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Like you said, yeah.
something was good about it, obviously.
So and those things
Yeah.
made that character really interesting. And then you have and then you have what's his name? Not Isaac Clarke. What is his name?
Jason Clark.
Jason Clarke, who's always good, but he had a stupid role in this movie, pointless
Yeah.
role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And yeah, no time for growth or reflection or complexity or depth.
None
So
at all. I mean, I had no clue why his character and his wife was doing what they were doing.
yeah, well, it's because he liked it. He liked murdering people.
But they didn't show us that,
Nope,
really. They
not
just
really.
told us.
Yeah, yeah,
Barely even that.
yeah. And the same, yeah, same thing with I think the like I said, all actors are good, but I think the two I liked the least was Riley Keough, more because she didn't really have much to do, and also because I think the other actors are just you know, better. Not like, yeah, well, you know what I mean. Yeah. And then I wasn't a big fan of Sebastian Stan. Like people, I think people like him a
Yeah,
lot
no.
because of the Marvel movies, and I think he's a good actor. I've seen him in some other stuff, and he's fine, but not on the same level as some of the other actors in this movie. I don't think so. So I found his character a little like cliche for a corrupt cop.
Yeah.
I think,
And I don't know.
but it wasn't bad. He was just with all these great performances. Him and Riley Keough was the least of them, the least great.
Which is fitting, because they were siblings.
Yeah, that's true. Oh,
Maybe that was a conscious choice.
I don't think so.
I
Right.
have to ask, did he have cotton in his mouth?
I think so. I think
Because it looked ridiculous.
in some scenes, I think he's got what's it called, chewing tobacco in, because I think you see him chew sometimes. You never see him spit though.
No, you see him munching on candy.
Yeah, and so I think they might just put something in his cheeks, and he definitely wore a bit of a fat suit, or maybe just ate a lot.
Extra.
Yeah, because the cop is supposed to be, you know, not overweight, but a little, you know, flabby.
They drink coffee and eat donuts.
Yeah, and to show that he's greedy, because that's what he
Yeah.
is. That's why he takes bribes and works on the side and cheats on his wife, which they never explore at all, except for like one scene. But he does that.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. We don't even never get to see his wife.
No.
Yeah. So
Yeah, those two were the least, both in acting and even in characters.
yeah, least interesting.
I mean, they had nothing to act on either, probably. So
yeah. What can you do? So let's get into the bad stuff. And
where do we start?
I don't know where to start. That's kind of what this movie had a problem with too. Where do we start this story?
They kind of started where the movie, like, I thought it would kind of come full circle at least, with the beginning being the birth of the children, the end being the death of the children.
But
no, they had that opportunity. They were right there, and then just let's not.
Okay, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do a little exercise in once again, I'm no expert. I'm a layman at this, but an exercise in structure and how to follow structure to make a coherent movie. What was this movie about? Can you tell me what this movie is about?
No, I can't really, because there was no plot.
Yeah.
There was no mountain to climb to get to the top. There was no peak.
Yeah. Okay. Second question: who is our protagonist, our main character?
I guess Arvin, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but he doesn't appear until 45 minutes into the movie. His character's there before, but
he doesn't have a character.
Yeah, he doesn't have a character, and the movie's halfway over when he is really fully introduced.
Yes.
So we kind of have to be reintroduced to him.
It's a story about him, as far as I understand. So I guess he is the protagonist.
I guess. We have someone in the chat here saying, "Hi, I saw the movie a few days ago, and I don't know if I liked it or not." Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. The movie had no story. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what we just said. It has no plot. It has no
goal.
thing. Yeah, there's no goal
to obtain or get to.
Does
I
it?
don't even know why he's trying to get to his old home. Like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
There's
You
no
can
reason for
you can,
anything.
you can kind of figure it out if you like pick it apart and look at it like, oh, because of this, then this happened, and then this happened, this happened. So you can see why
Well,
he's going where
yeah,
he's going, but his
you don't know
emotional,
why.
yeah, his emotional drive, his motivation to do it, I don't know. Another thing, which I felt was supposed to be like like this conflict within him is whether he loves his father or not. But in the end,
Yeah, they
I,
touch on it, but they don't.
I don't know. I don't
They
know.
don't resolve it.
Yeah.
They don't resolve anything.
Yeah, it
Really,
was very
they're killing
annoying.
people, so you get rid of them.
Yeah. Um, and so we plot character. Right. One thing that might actually you might actually be able to say, what was the theme or the point of the movie? What were you supposed to get out of this?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, something about you finding. I don't know.
Yeah.
Please tell me.
Yeah. No, I don't know exactly, but I would say
And you're
it's
slightly more educated in this part than I am,
yeah.
so
Um, I would say it's something uh like religion bad, something power corrupts, something.
I mean, I can feel that finding God and your way of finding God is, yes, that is a part of it.
Yeah.
You have the uh father's Willard Russell's way of finding God, how he treats his whole religion.
Yeah.
Because he grows up religious, but he loses it and then he finds it again somehow weirdly, sort of
Yeah,
morbid way.
that's never fully explained either. Like,
No,
what is he all of a sudden like? Oh, I think I believe in God again.
no. Maybe
Why?
that, some people just wake up one day and like, I think I found God. So maybe it was one of those moments.
Yeah, but why wasn't that?
Yeah.
There are all these ideas about yeah, finding God, finding religion, using religion to abuse people
Yeah.
and gain power, and just power in general, corruption, something about righteousness, and lost innocence. But it's all these different ideas that don't combine into a cohesive thing.
No. It feels like I'm sure the book probably does it a little bit better
Yeah,
because it has more runtime, basically.
yeah, and
In
I'm
this
kind of
movie,
interested in reading the book.
you could have skipped so many sidetracks. You
Yeah,
could have skipped the whole part about the couple, the Carl and Sandy, with their photography and their models and
yeah,
killings.
the killing.
No,
Yeah,
no point. You could have skipped the entire part with the cop.
yeah,
You
the
don't need.
corrupt cop.
He had
Yeah,
nothing to do with anything, and just focused on the finding and losing your religion bit.
yeah. You can even have skipped the Lafferty brothers and Lenora's mother. I mean,
I kind of get why they were there, to be honest, but they could have been much less.
but they don't inform Lenora as a character at all.
They do, sort of. That's the only reason she goes to pray at her mother's grave all the time,
Okay,
because
sure. Yeah, okay. So her mom died when
well,
she
they
was
were
when she was like a year. Do you
she
see?
grows up with another religious person.
Oh, sure, yeah, but I mean, you didn't have to see that her mother lost her life to this religious zealot, and then he was killed by these random serial killers. It could have just been,
That could have been storytelling. You don't have to show it.
yeah, and especially since you have a voiceover, which some people will say it's like a cheap way to get exposition across. I agree to some degree, but I think some stories benefit from having a voiceover, and especially since I liked the guy who did the voice here, I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
They could have definitely used the narration to skip a lot of scenes in this movie.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that would have cheapened the movie, I suppose, but it would definitely have cut down on the runtime and helped with the pacing. So,
And they would have left more space to dig deeper into this. because you have the two kids seeing religion in two completely different ways. Have them
Mm.
be the poor. Have them be
Yeah, and
the good and the bad, so to speak.
figure out what the movie is actually about. Like another um, clue to that this didn't really work or whatever. Another point to it is that there is no real ending to the movie. There are a couple of endings before the ending, but the actual ending is just up and it's over.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the first ending is when Arvin shoots the priest, whatever his name was, Robert Pattinson. That is definitely like that's where a lot of like pent up anger and the corruption and the religious abuse kind of comes to a point, and he decides to take matters into his own hands. And it's also a pivotal moment in his life because he realizes that he could never go back to his old life. That's why, goes on the run after that. And that should have been the ending, the stand. Yeah. But
and then it would have been if you cut out everything else, basically.
Yeah, but then the movie continues for like 30 minutes almost. And
I think it's 45 minutes even.
Something Whatever. Like that. Yeah, it's like 30, 45 minutes. And we have this pointless scene where he runs into the serial killers, but he kills them.
That bothered me a lot. How the hell did he know that they were going to kill him?
Well, he was paranoid at first because he just killed a person, so he's on edge.
Sure.
And him just in general is not very trusting of people except for Lenora and Uncle whatever and Grandma M. Yeah. And the fact that they drive him off the main road, and the guy had what?
The guy had to take a leak.
Yeah, you could just stop by the side of the road and do that.
I guess.
And the fact that the guy was had a gun tucked in his pants.
But they're in the South. Who doesn't have a gun?
Sure. But he was just nervous, and he was right. But it is a little, it's a little stretching, but I can see why he would do it.
They at least have added a couple of more hints that made it more obvious, because it was a bit too...
Well, they have a lot of hints for us, the audience. Like, we know, oh shit, they're gonna kill him, he better kill them. For us, all the signs are there. Like, oh my god, they're being all flirty. They're saying, oh, we're gonna drive over there, but first we gotta go over here. We know they're gonna do it. What?
We've seen that 3 times already.
Exactly.
And we knew it as soon as his car broke down. I was like, that's why they introduced the couple who kills people.
Yes. I predicted the ending when he left the church. I was like, oh, now when he's on the run, he's gonna run into the murderers. He's gonna kill the murderers. The cop is gonna come running after him because that's his sister, and then he's gonna kill the cop, and he's gonna have to go on the run forever. So it's a pretty obvious ending as well. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm like some great prophet for figuring that out, but it's bad because honestly, I'm pretty bad at figuring endings out. Believe it or not. So when I figure it out, it's a bad ending.
Yeah.
And it's so. What does it add to the movie, to the story, that he kills them and then gets this corrupt cop after him? What is the point? What is the
connection there that he was the cop who picked him up when his dad killed himself?
Yeah. Why? If that is the only reason why they confront each other in the end, why not do something with that? Realize that, well, he kind of does realize, like, oh my god, it's Arvin, but that happens like when he's talking over the phone with another police officer. It should have happened in the forest, and that's like, oh, it's about Arvin. So, oh, it's you. So, I saw you as a child. You had blueberry pie all over your face. And then Arvin uses that hesitation in Bodecker to like take advantage of it and shoot him or something. But there's nothing of that either. You just shoot each other. Or well, yeah, Arvin shoots Bodecker.
Well, Bodecker tries to shoot him, but he hits the log instead.
Yeah, with his 12-gauge shotgun, he only manages to hit the log.
Yeah.
The bullets go like this with a shotgun. That's the whole thing.
Yes.
Anyway. And also, all these shootings, the three big, the three only shootouts in the movie, except for when Bodecker kills the gangsters in the house. That's not really a shootout.
Also, very unnecessary.
Yeah, we'll get to that. More unnecessary characters. All these three shootouts happen in the last, 45, 35 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And up until that, the movie is violent, but in other ways. Just felt weird that they had the action scenes, or whatever you want to call it, in the end. Like, we gotta get more action in there. I don't know, it felt weird.
I mean, the church that he shoots the priest, yes, totally. I do understand that part. I understand the fighting in the beginning, when the kids beat each other up. I get that part.
Oh yeah, sure.
They're high school kids. Sure.
Yeah.
I get it. But I don't understand shooting in the woods. Could have been much more dramatic. And not so, like you said, action. Like, no.
And it feels
not an action movie.
And a confrontation like that in the end of a movie feels like it's something they should have built up to. And since these characters met, like, sort of in the beginning of the movie, there's this, it feels like this is supposed to be the resolution in their relationship, or whatever you want to call it.
But they don't have a relationship.
But they don't, yeah, exactly. They don't have one. They met once 10 years ago, or 12 or whatever, 10 years ago. And now they meet each other again, and, oh, it's you. Bam.
Yeah.
What?
There's no development, no reason. There's a reason, but there's no reason for that to be something exciting for us.
Yeah.
Because they only have a vague connection via a short confrontation between Arvin and the sheriff's sister that Arvin didn't even know it was his sister.
No, yeah, exactly. So what's the point?
No clue.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was something against the sheriff, so why should... Yeah, just...
Honestly, like, thinking of this, because... Well, I don't know how much they changed from the book, but I wonder if the book is even good. Now...
More than talk about the story?
Well, listen, I'm not a book guy. I mean, I don't review books. I read... Well, not as much as I used to. Way less than I used to. But I still read some stuff. But it is kind of but I don't feel qualified to critique books the way I feel qualified to critique movies. You can critique whatever you want, but that's how I feel. So I don't want to rag too much on the book, especially since I haven't read it. But I just get the feeling that since this is based on the book, I wonder if this is as messy in the book, because then I said I was interested in reading the book in the beginning. I might not be, because it's just annoying with all these characters and how they don't fucking correlate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could be like in Game of Thrones, how the books were built up there. One chapter for each character.
Oh yeah.
Well, basically until they die.
that could work instead of cutting back and forth. That works in a book. Doesn't work in a movie. So.
No, it doesn't work in a movie. I'm saying from the book perspective.
Oh yeah. I get it.
And you could have probably more interactions, more crossing of paths between characters in the book.
Yeah.
Even though they're in different
cities,
towns. I don't know, towns.
Yeah. And in a book, every character can feel like the main character because they have more time to
develop and
develop
have
the
narrative
characters.
in general.
Exactly. Books and movies do mainly follow the same narrative structures, or should, They don't have to, but, if you want to tell a typical story, they kind of follow the same structure, but books are different in some way. They are, definitely.
Books have room to do
more.
Bigger, better, more.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to narrate down to a certain screen time, to to actually have people do shit. You can imagine it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect example. The second Dune book, they spend like I'm over exaggerating, but like 100 pages on one meeting where they just talk politics. It's great in the book, but it would never work as a movie because it's just people sitting there. Anyway, so let's talk about. There's so much more to talk about when it comes to
It's not
the structure.
Because the structure, well, yeah, the structure, yeah. But like we've mentioned it, we've touched upon it many times. The characters, there are so many unnecessary ones. There are so many plot
Yeah,
strings that are not attached.
yeah, and thinking about it right now, like I get the feeling, what's his name, Antonio Campos, and I'm guessing his brother,
Yeah, Paulo Campos.
Paulo Campos. Uh, they read the book, they really liked the book, and maybe like the central theme is more prevalent in the book. And then it's like, oh, we could do this into an awesome movie, you know, with the gothic feeling and the retro style with the 50s and the 30s and 40s, I suppose. But when they tried to convert it to a screenplay, they realized, we can't get all these cool scenes from the book into the movie without it being a giant mess. But
he's done like one full-length movie before this.
Yeah, I know.
I took one of them, Antonio.
Yeah.
And he's produced a bunch of shorts.
He's involved in another Netflix series. I think it's a Spanish Netflix series called The Sinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He produces and directs it.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't watched it, but I've seen it around.
He hasn't done a lot. Maybe this was a bit too heavy for him.
Yeah, maybe it was he wanted to show that he was like, I can tackle something heavy, but it didn't really work.
But it was too heavy.
Yeah, and I think oh
yeah, and his brother has only done this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of like, but that one actually worked. Like when Christopher Nolan brought on his brother, who had like written some poems before, to write the script for Dark Knight. That worked, but it's like, come on, dude.
But he also had his.
Yeah, they had an actual professional screenwriter, and Christopher Nolan had written some stuff before. So
yeah.
But anyway. And
a good story to go on.
Exactly. So I think they didn't want to kill their darlings. I talked about this with Christopher this Tuesday when we talked about Adam Sandler the week of. Yeah. A screenwriter, that is like really important, because most screenplays are like huge and bloated when you first write them. It's like, oh, I want to write a nice 90-minute rom-com, and it doesn't matter that you like follow every structure and all that, or follow the formula. Your script is going to be like 250 pages, and that's going to translate to about 250 minutes, and you can't do that. So, and I think this goes for books as well. I just know more about screenwriting. You have to kill your darlings. Like, I really like these parts, but they're not integral. Remove those.
Isn't that what the movie Kill Your Darlings is about a bit?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. Spoilers, I actually haven't finished that movie. I have it here somewhere. Yeah, okay. I started watching it, and I was like, I think I like nodded off, and like, I'll finish it tomorrow. Never watched it. Anyway.
But yeah, you do kill your darlings in books as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't keep everything. Some fluff has to go. Some details that lead to other details, yeah, you have to cut it. You can't keep everything. It's gonna be,
because it's
one's gonna read a book about a love story, like generic. I'm gonna generalize it a lot now, but like, you know, the girly love story, girl meets boy,
yeah,
kind of story for 2,000 pages.
No, that doesn't work.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk quickly then, because I want to do an exercise. I think we've done this before, where we try to kill some darlings. But I started quickly. Let's quickly talk about the jumping back and forth in the movie. Did that confuse you at all?
Beginning, very much so.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It doesn't help that I had to cut this movie up in 3 parts because I couldn't watch it. Yeah, just time wise. But the first, I want to say an hour, or 45 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
That was the first part I saw, and I was like, maybe I have to rewatch it because I do not understand. At one point, I thought I accidentally like rewound it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, obviously the part where Mia, what's her name, Wazowski.
Wasikowska.
Well, yeah, I can't say the name. Mike Wazowski.
What?
Uh,
Mia
when,
Mia Masowski.
yeah,
Hello, what's up?
when her character, when her scene is literally repeated and
Yeah.
then just elongated.
Yeah.
It was very confusing.
Yeah. And the movie does get more or less linear after Tom Holland is introduced. There are some flashbacks, but the timeline doesn't skip around like it does before that.
Understand where it's going at least, but in the beginning, I don't know if it's been a day or if it's been a year, or if it's the day before.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with that. Like, I understand why they did it, because the movie, if they would have just told it from the earliest scene is the one where he steps into the diner and meets his wife for the first time, Bill Skarsgård's character. That's the earliest moment in the movie. Well, technically, the scene in the war when they execute the guy who has been crucified.
Well, yeah, but that's
a flashback. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the movie started there and just moved forward in time, never like jumping around, it would be
in a linear path.
In a linear fashion, yeah. It would be super boring.
Yes.
It would be like, just to mention Christopher Nolan again, Memento. You know how Memento goes backwards, but on the special edition DVD, there's actually an option to watch the movie in chronological order. And the movie is super boring that way. Not super boring, but it's like, it loses a lot of tension that way.
Well, yeah, because it's written to go backwards.
Exactly. And I think this script is written to have things in the past sort of inform things that happen in the future. But the thing is, it does.
Well.
Yeah, it doesn't do it well. And it's also a problem because when we're actually in the future, when Tom Holland is introduced, that's the future, or the present, I suppose, not the future. We don't really get many flashbacks there. Like, we get all the flashbacks and jumping around before that. It's almost like they want to build up like a lore around the characters and around the place of Knock'em and whatever the other city was called, or town, so that we are informed and this world has been like fleshed out before the story actually starts. But
yeah, they're giving the main characters a reason, but the main characters weren't there.
Yeah, and also they don't the earlier stuff doesn't inform enough of the present plot to make it important enough to spend 45 minutes to build up. It could have just been flashbacks or a voiceover and like 10 minutes in the beginning with Bill Skarsgård.
Voiceover would have made even more sense than flashbacks, because they don't actually, like we said earlier, they don't, especially Lenore and her family, that bit does not really impact who Lenore is more than that she is religious.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
you don't need to see how religious her family was.
Yeah, exactly.
You
and
have to know that they were religious.
Yeah, and we only need to know that she had a young mother who died when she was very, very young. So that's why she prays at her grave, because that's the only memory. She doesn't really have any memories of her mother, so the only connection she has is this grave and talking to God about.
She doesn't know what happened to her father, because he's just gone.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we do find out that he actually. Well, he did. Yeah, he died. Yeah, we see that. Sorry.
You know that, but she doesn't know that.
She doesn't know that. Yeah.
Another thing, we didn't need to know that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It had no impact on how we saw the story, except for introducing the killing couple.
Yeah.
Once again, have no point in the story.
Yeah. So they
serve no purpose.
Yeah. So the backstory feels unnecessarily long. Like, to have 45 minutes of build-up of these characters who then don't really fill that much of a purpose in the actual story of the movie, makes it feel so unnecessary, and you kind of like, it kind of takes the wind out of you when you're like, oh, the movie's really just starting now? When we've been watching it for 45 minutes. That's how I felt, at least. It was like, oh.
Yeah, but that's the only part that was good with me watching it in 3 parts.
Yeah.
Because I saw that bit first, and I was like, this is a boring-ass movie. Then I saw the rest. Only chopped up a little.
Yeah.
That was an exciting movie, more or less.
Yeah. And to go back to...
long.
Yeah, to go back to that video I watched from Swell Entertainment, she mentioned that as well, that it probably would have worked better as a limited or mini-series.
Yes. Because then you would have made sense to have all that backstory, to have the amount of main characters they had.
Yeah.
Because the parents were counted as main characters in the beginning, of course.
Yeah.
But then they all die.
Yeah.
And then you get the main characters. That seems like a prequel, basically.
Yeah.
That in this case is not needed.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But characters, actors.
What?
It's a waste of actors if they would have cut all of it.
Yes, exactly. Because
some of the greatest ones.
Some of the best performances, Bill Skarsgård being one of them, would be completely cut out. Yeah, more or less. Yeah. So now, out of this, maybe not. Like, I don't think you could do a physical cut of what movie there is to make it better. I don't think that's possible. But like us reshaping it, could we make this better, more concise? Could we? And first of all, or most of all, could we make it like an hour 45?
Definitely. Yes. We've done this before. We've done it with some other movie. We did it with The Boy too, I think.
Oh God, I used to. Yeah.
Went over the script and redid it.
Right. So
unintentionally, but now we're doing it intentionally.
Well, yeah, but that's the big problem, because, like I said in the beginning, I don't think this is a terrible movie. I see a lot of potential in it. Like I said, I like the setting. I love the actors. It's just the script. The cinematography is great.
Great.
All the costumes and
awesome.
The music was pretty good. You know, it was just the writing, which is a super integral part of the production, but.
At the same time, I'm not sure it was just the writing. I think it was the editing of the script, to be honest.
Oh, sure. But the script was the problem.
Yeah.
And the handling of the script by the director.
Probably is okay.
Yeah, probably.
Well, yeah, we would start with, like, cutting out basically the entire beginning and just doing it a 10-minute voiceover.
Yeah.
Explaining why. Maybe having some of Willard Russell's parts in to kind of show why Arwen.
Arwen. Yeah, it's Arwen, like the elf, but with a single V or simple V.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Why he is so skeptical.
Yes.
Because you kind of need to explain that, why he is just not.
But let's
for the church, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. But I think we should first figure out. And I just want to say we've been going for an hour, so. If you have time, because this might take a while, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay,
go for it.
Good. First of all, we need to figure out a theme, a core. What is the movie about?
Finding and losing your religion.
Yeah, like judging from the movie, it is faith and the good parts and the bad parts of it. And how different people reflect on faith, I suppose.
How they use it.
Yeah, exactly.
What it means to them, I guess.
So, the first thing that I would do is that I would not have... Well, no, it could be the same voiceover, because that could be Arwen when he's older. And we don't have to find that out, but it just in my head it has to be Arwen. Actually, I thought it was Arwen as an old man telling the story to someone, because sometimes
because he says Arwen, he doesn't say I.
I know, yeah, but that's because we're not supposed to know, but it's supposed to be him.
I guess.
And he's the only character who the narrator shares feelings with. The narrator gets angry when Arwen gets angry a couple of times.
Yeah.
and like swearing, says it's fucking disgusting or something when Arwen is angry over something, which he never does otherwise. He never judges the characters in the story. So that's why I thought it was an older Arwen.
And he does mainly like reflect his inner monologues more
Yeah,
than
exactly.
any other characters. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would
What
start.
happened with my camera? There we go.
There we go. I would start with 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 voiceover, like talking about Willard and his faith. And I would actually have the first scene of the movie be the scene in is it Japan? The war scene from World War II.
Yeah.
And it would talk about like my I don't know, my daddy, my father, I guess it would say my father. My father never talked about
war,
like why he lost his faith, because I think that needs to be a thing also, that Willard isn't actually religious. He's kind of putting on this religious facade because his family's religious. I think that would work better with, well, first that scene, because it says he loses his faith when he has to shoot that soldier.
Yeah.
And why he gains it back, we never find out. So instead, let's just let that like faith thing be a facade. Like, he prays because he's supposed to pray, but he doesn't believe in it. And that's partly why his wife dies, because he didn't actually pray for real, you know. Again, then there's a guilt thing. That's why he kills himself. But anyway, it would start with that. So he never. My father never talked about why he lost his faith. But he does talk about the war sometimes, or he did talk about the war sometimes, and then the narrator could be like sort of witty, so I could draw my own conclusions, and then you just see him shoot. You kind of have to explain who the guy on the cross is, but that could be done in the scene. But it should end with him shooting the guy in the head.
Basically, what they did in the movie, though, show the dog tags and then just.
Yeah, exactly. And then it would focus more or less on not him meeting his wife. It would like focus on him coming home, marrying a woman, and then having a child, and like cut down his story to like 10 minutes. And people say like, oh, but then you're like losing a lot of depth to the characters, but it's depth we don't need.
It's a depth to characters that die within the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, and
you don't need to have depth to that character.
Exactly. They don't have to be characters. They need to be avatars of Arwen's
memories.
What's it called? Yeah, or like values, like how he sees the world. He has his loving mother, the not absent father, but like estranged father a little bit, who also like put it in him like, oh, you have to be Christian, you have to follow the faith and all the praying and stuff, but he never believed in it himself. That's why Arwen is conflicted about it, and also because his father did kill himself and crucified his dog.
And but
so,
also he has to be there to show him to build up on Arwen's anger, I guess, and the fact that he will fight people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that scene where Willard shows Arwen that this is what you do with the police, integral for the character.
Oh, sure, yeah. That needs to be there. So that needs to be there.
Yeah.
The prologue scene needs to be there.
Yes.
And we need to see that Arwen thinks that his father is a real Christian, a real believer, and then he becomes a real believer, and they pray, and that's something they do together, and that they like each other. But then when Willard kills himself, after killing Arwen's dog,
losing their mother.
Yeah. When you have this, once again, you have a callback to someone being crucified. Arwen kind of loses his faith, just like Willard lost his faith when someone was crucified.
Work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So your praying doesn't work, and you see this perversion of a Christian symbol. Just
That bit,
a thing, that could be easier interpreted if you didn't fucking do it over 45 minutes and do it over 10 minutes instead.
yeah, that bit, like the pieces that were there in the movie actually works. They just had to cut out all the fodder in between.
Exactly. So then the movie, like we said, we don't talk about Lenora and her parents. Lenora is just like an orphan child that grandma and uncle take care of, and they talk about that her parents were devout, but they went crazy. And
Good
there's
Christian folks.
yeah, and they can mention like that they found Lenora's mother out in the forest, like murdered. Some say it was even her husband who did it.
Yeah.
But he disappeared, so no one knows. Yeah, there could have been a mystery. And that's why people kind of look sideways at Lenora, because she might she might
be crazy.
She might be crazy because her parents were crazy.
Yeah.
Just to simplify it, not to make it like more for stupid people, but just streamline it.
Yeah. Actually gives the character a bit. It gives the character of Lenore more depth than her entire family, because you don't need the entire family, you just need her.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think the movie, you could have the scene where Arvin, it's his birthday. I think it's his 18th birthday. I don't know, because he's smoking and drinking, but I don't think they care about age limits. So.
Probably not.
Probably not. But you could see the scene where he gets the gun from his dad. That gun, that's also a problem. Something called oh no, what's it called?
You know it in Swedish?
No, it's a Russian name. It's it's gun. I want to say Kuleshov, but that's another thing. Anyway, it's this idea that if you introduce a gun, or if you introduce a thing, it's a gun that is the example in the first act. It must have it must have a point in the third act, which this gun has.
Yes.
But why they kind of like build this gun up as something special by maybe being the gun that Hitler used to kill himself with, that
pointless.
Feels no purpose. So instead, if they wanted to make this gun feel more purposeful, it could be the gun that Willard used to shoot the crucified guy with. And that's actually something he told his son. Like, he showed him his gun when he was young. Maybe not say outright, I used this to fucking kill a guy. But, that this...
Like, this is memorabilia from the war.
Yeah, and it's something... And it's something that Willard might have contemplated over, because it was the weapon that killed his faith, basically.
Yeah.
So it has...
Maybe it could have even been what killed him.
Yeah. Exactly. It could have been that as well.
More power.
Yeah, to give it more give more purpose. So then when he gets this gun, just like his feelings for his dad is very conflicted, he is very conflicted over this a gift.
Yeah.
But he will still say, it's the best gift I've ever had. Or
the only thing I have from my father.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's the gun that killed him.
Even though it is a toxic thing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's still the only thing he has.
Yeah. And then the story would play out kind of like it does in the movie. You see Lenore and him and the bullies at school and him beating up the bullies. You see the priest coming to town. Him being like the first priest seems like an all-around nice guy. Everybody likes him. And we don't really know why. He says, I have to go away for a while, and he's coughing, so I guess, he got sick and then he died.
Yeah, he got sick.
Yeah. Maybe
could have elaborated a tiny bit on that.
Yeah, they could have built up that character a little more, show that since the only thing Lenora knows about her parents was that they were very Christian, Maybe that's why she had such an attachment to the original priest, and why she's kind of attaching herself to the new priest.
Maybe he could have been more like a father figure for her.
Yeah, something like that. A little bit.
When you see their relationship sort of be a bit stronger. Because now you even see them in the same scene, except for when he tells her specifically that he's going away for a while.
Exactly. Like, she's the one... Yeah, she's the one he tells, so it feels like they had a relationship.
But they don't show us that.
Exactly.
They don't even tell us that this time.
Yeah. And that's also why she doesn't really see the bad stuff with Robert Pattinson's priest or preacher or whatever. She's like, oh well, he's a
priest. He's gonna be just the
same.
So
he has to be good. He's a man of God, so he has to be good. And that's because she's very devout. Arvin, however, who is very conflicted when it comes to faith and religion because of his father and because of his mother dying and all that, sees through the facade and like, this guy, he's not like the last preacher. There's something wrong about him.
He's one of those radio priests.
Yeah. And then, only because you might not want to cut out Sebastian Stan's character altogether, he could still be the guy who discovers or helps Arvin when his father's killed himself. And he could be a father figure for him. Throughout the movie, you see them like sitting in the cop car, hanging out in front of the store, and just talking about stuff. Instead of uncle and grandma, I mean, they're still characters, and they still hang out, especially grandma, since she raised him.
But you could actually remove Uncle Erskine.
Yeah,
he doesn't really serve a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. You could remove him and then have Bodecker be this kind of father figure for him.
Yeah.
Having him being a corrupt cop, no point to it. And it would even be, when we get to the end, it would even be more impactful if he isn't corrupt. But the movie plays on. And then the middle part would, like I said, mostly play out like it does in the movie. Remove the gangsters in the other town. Remove the whole corruption of Bodecker. Remove the serial killers. They fill no purpose. Why are they in the movie?
They are only there to make characters disappear.
Yeah, but people can just disappear. People disappear all the time.
Yeah, you don't
especially in the South, in the 50s.
Give it a story.
Exactly.
When you have a story, another story separately.
Yeah. So then, Lenora and Robert Pattinson, they get more and more, they hang out more and more, and stuff happens like in the movie. He uses her. She gets pregnant, and just like in the movie, it all plays out like it did. And she, which is so fucked up in the movie, she accidentally hangs herself. It's like, oh my god.
But that's been done though, so it didn't really. I thought it was like, yeah.
I know, but it's kind of to add just. This movie is like, it's pitch black, so it had to be that even when she's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. No, she still hangs herself on accident. There's no happy moments in this movie. You never like, oh, smile or oh, that's cute. No, it's all darkness.
Yes.
So that happens, and then it could almost be like no one really knows why she did it. But Arvin has his suspicions because he's very protective of Lenora. We've seen that. He almost beat 3 people to death just to like defend her honor, basically.
Yeah. He's there when she has morning sickness.
Exactly. And he's there when she prays at the mother's grave every day, even though he's not really into religion, because he really cares for Lenora. It's his sister.
Yeah.
So he starts suspecting the priest.
But I want it to be a little bit more obvious that he does it and that he understands it.
Oh well, yeah, and it's because he was suspicious of the priest all from the beginning. Like this guy, he's not a good guy like the last one.
But I kind of wanted, like, you don't get the moment where he's like, I know it's him, until they're at the church.
You do actually, but it's so terribly edited that I thought I missed something. But I think I just blinked at the wrong moment. You do actually see him follow the priest when he has sex with the redhead girl with the bike.
Follow them properly. You see him drive off with her.
Yeah.
You see him go into the. You don't see him like lurking in the woods.
You don't see that, but you see his face looking at something, and right before that, we see them in the car. Same thing.
To me, that was like he's just watching something else.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he's watching them, and he's watching, the priest at home with his wife. It is his wife, right?
That's his wife.
It is his wife.
That I got that when he was telling it to the priest.
Yeah, he was trying to.
I did not get it when I saw it.
No, I know.
I understand that this was from his perspective. I thought it was just scenery.
It was so terribly edited. Yeah, I know.
You could have added him into it more, so you see him seeing it, not just seeing it from his perspective. Because didn't work.
And
oblivious people like me, or even more oblivious than me, no clue.
Yeah. And all throughout this, he of course talks to Bodecker about this, that I think it's the priest, but to everyone else, the priest seems like a nice guy. Yeah, he's kind of a dick a little bit.
Yeah,
but he's still a good priest.
Because then Lenore would get in trouble as well.
Yeah, exactly. But when he finds out that this priest does this to more women, and even his own wife, to a certain extent, and like in the movie, he could find out that Lenore was pregnant, and that's when it kind of That's when the what's it called, the straw that broke the camel's back, basically. That's when it's like, you motherfucking fuck this guy, I'm gonna kill him. So then
you didn't really have one of those moments. You needed that.
And then he takes his dad's gun, which he has had stored away ever since he got it. The best gift he ever received, like he said, has been in the back of his closet. Yeah, he's never touched it, never used it. But now he picks it out and he looks at it. He remembers what his dad said, the lesson about attacking at a more fortunate moment. Like, you gotta do it when you have the upper hand, basically. Like backstabbing, but not really.
But because what he teaches him and what he actually exercises when he's fighting the boys who harasses the North.
So they can have a callback to that when he sees the gun. Then he writes a letter, says I might never be able to come back, grandma and uncle, whatever. And then there's a confrontation in the church, and he shoots Robert Pattinson and then runs off. We then get Bodecker. No, that's not the end. That's not the end. Because if you want to have that end scene with Bodecker and him in the forest, it could be that Bodecker, of course, arrives at the scene of the crime, and he, just like in the movie, he sees, instead of him getting the phone call about the bullets and like it's probably a Luger, and him like, oh, a Luger, like that kid had that I saw 10 years ago.
Oh, a 9mm? That's a Luger, right?
Yeah, because not most guns, maybe not back then, but nowadays, most handguns are not 9mm. Whatever.
Specifically a German gun, right?
Yeah. Instead, he looks down and says, it's a damn shame, and then he picks up one of the because they make a point out of him not being able to pick up the shell casings because they're too hot, because they're hot because of shooting.
Yeah.
So they're left at the scene, and he sees he can just say 9mm, and then you see on his face like, oh, because he can put two and two together. Who has been suspicious of the priest? Who owns a gun that's a 9mm? It's not super common in these places.
Oh, most people have shotguns, as they mentioned.
Exactly, or hunting rifles. Yeah. Whose sister just died, and was pregnant. Probably.
And has been telling me that he thinks the priest did it.
Exactly. And he's like, God damn it, Arvin. And then he goes after him. And Arvin is all lost in this world. What is the one like, other than Grandma and Uncle Erskine, what is the one like good thing he can remember in his life? It's his home. Mom and dad. It's home. So he goes back there, just like in the movie. He goes to like I guess, like, yeah, face his demons, basically. So he sits down at the prayer log, just like he did then, to get closure. Yeah, he buries his dog, he faces the ghosts of his mom and dad, and like comes to terms with why they did what they did, or mostly Willard, but. And then Bodecker shows up and says, I have to
arrest you.
I have to arrest you. I have to take you in. You killed a preacher.
Kill someone.
Yeah, and the death penalty was much more liberal back then. So
yeah.
Yeah, and he says, I'm gonna try to do my best, but I can't promise anything, basically. And
you still have Arvin saying that thing he says, that I'm a good person.
Yeah, I'm a good person.
You know
that. Yeah. And like I ain't going back with you. I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life in jail for standing up for my sister, for doing the right thing. So you see,
you have to shoot out instead.
Yeah, and you see him reach for his gun slowly, and Bodecker says, "Don't do it. I don't want to have to shoot you, son." And then she's like, "Bah!" And who shot who? We don't know, until Bodecker falls over, and then says something sad that I can't come up right now.
He doesn't have to say anything though.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And then Arvin just runs away, because he has now killed a preacher and a policeman. He is forever going to be hunted, but he did the right thing, so he is justified in his head in what he did. And it's him. If you want to go back to him being conflicted when it comes to religion. It could, you might have to tweak it a little bit, but it could come back to him maybe finding his faith, because in the end, maybe it's like because he's young and doesn't really understand that what he did, even though he killed a bad guy, he still killed someone, and that's not a good thing.
No.
In his head, though, this proves that there is good in the world, like all the religious people say. Maybe God was on his side, and that's why he could do these make these choices and still get away with it, sort of. And especially since it's the gun
or something,
and the gun that took his father's faith and his father's life has now saved his life. There must be something there. Now, it doesn't have to be said outright in the movie, but that's at least something that
hinted at.
Yeah, it's hinted at, and it's something that goes through the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then the movie could end just like it does. Like, he is, for the first time in a long time, he feels safe when he sits down in the car, and that's where he can fall asleep next to the hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that movie is about hour and 45, hour and 55.
And if you want to make it shorter, you cut out the Sebastian Stan character. Well, his character. And just lose those bits, because you could.
But then it's also, if the religious theme or the religious thing, like I said, I kind of forgot about that because I don't really care about that. There is definitely a theme of fatherhood and father characters or father figures. So, and then you kind of need Sebastian Stan, though.
Yeah, I guess,
But still, yeah. But you cut out all the backstory, Lenore's family, the serial killers, the corruption. You could even have it take place in one town.
Yeah, I was about to say that, because you don't need the cop to be the cop of some other town and come over and get Arwen because you know him. No, just have it all take place in one town. And maybe have Arwen's family live on the outskirts of it instead.
Yeah.
So or it's a bit off.
Or that the movie takes place in the town called Knockemstiff. That's very funny, Knockemstiff. But his childhood home is in another town that isn't corrupt, that isn't filled with these bad people, the bad preacher, the people who bully Lenora. So it's a happy memory, except for his dad killing himself, of course. But other than that, that town is a nice town.
But it doesn't really work with Bodecker being the guy who picks him up when he's a kid then, and then also being the guy he hangs out with a lot, because they can't be too far apart.
Oh, that's true.
It has to be closer.
That's true.
Because as I get it now, they're like an hour or two drive apart.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Which is stupid. It should be like I said, if his childhood home is something that's just on the outskirts of town because they were poor.
Yeah.
That's fine. Because then he can still go into the city and hang out with the cop. The cop could still be the main cop to come get him when he's a kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, just put it in one town. Make it maybe a tiny bit bigger so you can have more contrast between the city folk and the...
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have a more progressive, like, core to the town, but there's the old generation still lives on the outskirts, and
still goes to that kind of church where a radio priest could corrupt them.
Yeah. And that could also be a nice thing with the environment in the movie, that you could literally you could literally feel like you take one step across this line and you're in a different time or a different era, basically. They stopped paving the road at old man Plinkett's house, and the second you stop off the asphalt and onto the gravel road or the dirt road, you feel like you're in another place, like to make it more mythic, to work more with the Southern Gothic feel.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
And at the same time, give characters a bit more depth then, because they have a bit of a separate morale, maybe a bit of a separate upbringing.
Yeah, and...
Maybe even make it so that Lenore comes from one of those rich families from the beginning and then has to adapt to the poverty of the outskirts. Yeah,
and then, of course, Arvin and Lenore being kind of picked on because they're not from...
Yeah, they're not from the city. They're
not from the town. Yeah, they're from the outskirts.
Yeah, that's why they pick on Lenore. That's why she's...
Yeah. So...
Yeah. See, we made a great movie again.
Yeah, so once again, just pulled it out of our asses, made a great movie. Why the hell aren't we hired as just script doctors? We could write the best movies ever.
We just to have like a plot and a main story, and we can just do the rest.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's take a book and write a script out of it. And just sell it.
Anyway, I think we're gonna wrap it up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half now, so.
We thought we wouldn't have a lot to say about this movie.
No, I knew I would have a lot to say about this movie because there were so many things I really didn't like about it.
True.
But yeah, to
Let's
everyone.
Wrap it up with saying though that we already have a plan for next week.
Oh right, yes.
Another movie I chose.
Yeah. What? Wow.
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
You didn't say it to me, but you said I wanted
exactly.
to.
I had the idea, but I didn't mention it. And then you mentioned it. I was like, oh. Yeah, so just yesterday, Enola Holmes was released on Netflix. The Sherlock Holmes spin-off. Which is based on a book? I don't know.
It is. Enola Holmes is a character mentioned in the original
she
Sherlock
is?
Holmes
Oh,
books,
okay.
but
I didn't know.
Then someone got the rights to write the books about her and mention the original Sherlock Holmes in it.
Cool. I didn't know that. I only know about his
There's a big
brother.
controversy about it, but I'm going to mention that when we talk about the movie instead.
Right. And that's also another movie that has a lot of weird fan accounts making way too many tweets about it, and like a lot of like, they call it, what is it, MBB, Queen MBB, and it's like, you're a grown-ass person, stop posting pictures of her and calling her queen.
She's what,
weird. It's weird, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that next week.
We'll talk about that next week, yes, because we're going to talk about Enola Holmes. And I just got to mention really quick, a long time ago, when I just started doing these live shows, it's like 2 or 3 years ago, I had the idea to do a talk show-esque thing like this, but only talking about Netflix stuff. I talked about this with Christopher, about me and another friend, Gabbe, who's been on the live stream show a couple of times, doing a weekly show when we talk about all the new stuff on Netflix. And I remember, not throwing any shade at Christopher, this was a few years ago, and he said, do you think there's enough stuff on Netflix to do a weekly show. And back then it was like, I don't know, maybe because they did some stuff, but nowhere near as much as they do now.
Yeah. Now it's a production company.
Yeah, back then it was mostly like they had a few TV shows. Like, okay, we can talk about that, I suppose. But now, looking at what we have done on the spoiler cast, most of what we've done is Netflix movies.
True.
Or Netflix related.
At least the last few months.
Especially this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we're gonna like rebrand it to the Netflix show.
Yeah, because we're still gonna spoil stuff.
Exactly. But it's starting to feel like, hey, maybe that Netflix show could have been a good idea.
Could still do a weekly segment that is the Netflix thing, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Whatever.
There are enough shows.
We're doing the spoiler cast.
Exactly, we're doing the spoiler cast, but we're going to talk about.
Don't take this away from me.
No. So we're going to talk about Enola Holmes, and then there was something else. I think that was Netflix related that is coming out later that I want to talk about, but I don't remember what that is.
Yeah, we'll see what that is.
But anyway. Thank you to everyone watching. We had a few people watching, even people commenting. Thank you for that. If you're watching this in the archive, thank you for watching. Be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button and the little bell thing, so you're always updated when we release a new video and when we go live. It's generally Thursdays around this time, but be sure to hit the bell thing so you're always notified in time. And we'll see you next week for the Enola Holmes spoiler cast. But until then, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.